Welcome, I'm Bev Adams. I own an independent paper crafting business showcasing products from Stampin' Up! I made this beautiful card with products from Stampin' Up! I sell these products and also a few items to make crafting more convenient. I have the free detailed directions for this project on my website. You'll see where to find all of that at the end of this video, so don't worry about taking notes. It's time to put stamps, ink, and paper together. I'm using Encircled in Friendship, and my ink is the Memento Tuxedo Black ink. I'm also using Highland Heather, Pool Party, and Daffodil Delight Stampin' Blends. I'll also be using Wink of Stella, the clear glitter brush, and the Label Me Lovely punch. I am using the hand-penned Memories and More cards and envelopes. You get 20 cards that are already pre-scored and have a print on them, and 20 envelopes. Very beautiful. I'm also using the coordinating hand-penned designer series paper. I'm using this Highland Heather one, and I'm also using the Daffodil Delight, and really any of these pattern papers, especially that have the Highland Heather in them, will be just fine for this card. I'm using Encircled in Friendship. I love the font. I love what they have to say. I love the Alstroemeria group of flowers here and the single one. Love it. I'm also using a bit of basic white, and these are the Heart and Home doilies. They have different colors, but we're actually going to be using the white side. And last but not least, I'm using some of this gingham plaid ribbon, and this is Bumblebee. I'm going to stamp that single flower on the inside. And the greeting, in a world where you can be anything, thank you for being kind. I am not coloring this flower. The Stampin' Blends can go through the cardstock, and I don't want it to go through the back of this card. So I'm putting the Highland Heather paper on the left side of the card. And I'm going to adhere the Daffodil Delight paper, maybe about here. I do want a little bit of the card to show on the right side and on the bottom. And this has a kind of scallop pattern, and you can go either way. I had the scallops with the bumps on the top, and I'll put the bumps on the bottom on this card. I just ran to the end of my tape, and so you can see the red showing there. And so I'm going to swap it out right now. So you just open it up and pull this part out. That unfortunately is all trash. There is a resealable top on this. I just cut it all off. This is the same case that fits both the Seal Plus and the regular seal. And so you could just have one and swap out the inside. So I guess for that purpose you would want the resealable kind. There are some holes here, and we have the two pieces. One of these has like pegs, and sometimes the adhesive can get caught up in here, and I'm just checking to see if there's any adhesive, and there's not. I'm going to put that on just gently. If you don't want to force it, because if you force it, you could, I suppose, break those pegs. And then you just fit it and snap it closed. When you first put it on, there's probably not going to be adhesive here, so you can roll it here with your finger, or you can also, I have been keeping my silicone craft mat on my side of my work area, and if you can roll it on there just a little tiny bit, it will roll that along. This is the print I'm using, and I'm just going to tie a knot around the middle of this. I always leave my ribbon attached to the spool, and I learned in Girl Scouts how to make a square knot. So I'm doing right over left, and this piece goes around, and at this point I kind of cross it up and down, and I like using my third hand. So we did right over left, and now I'm doing left over right. The left is now the short cut end, so I'm going to go over and through the loop and pull it. If you start pulling by tugging on the short cut end and then allow this piece to snug around it, you get a very pretty knot. And snip the ends. By leaving it on the spool, I did have to cut off a little bit, but I didn't have to cut off any on this end. So I find it saves ribbon. I know it's just like an inch or two each time, but that starts adding up. So now I'm going to put this piece here. I want to cover up some of this edge, and I want my ribbon about where the top of the Daffodil Delight is. So maybe about that size. You could pop this up with dimensionals. I tend to not use a lot of dimensionals because I actually do mail my cards. And when you put 2 layers of dimensionals on, it starts costing a little extra for the mail. So I'm just setting that down there. And go ahead and put my doily down. And this doily could be popped up again. You could use a spritzer with some re-inker or some refill ink and color this. You can use the blending brushes to color these. You can drag them across your stamp pad to color them. But I am simply putting it on straight and white. Kind of in the center of the card. There. From this piece I want to cut a 1/2 inch, and I have already done that, but it's certainly plenty of space. And from this other end I'm going to do my stamping of my large end image. So ink that up. I'm going to give that a little time to dry because I did re-ink my stamp pad, so it might be kind of juicy. I'm using with Heartfelt Thanks to stamp here. There's not a lot of extra room, and so I did kind of pause on the video a little bit to put my head over that. And I think I'm done stamping now. I'm going to put some dimensionals on the back. So I am raising 1 layer with dimensionals. So this is going up here. I put it at kind of over the top of this. On this one I left a little bit showing. It's okay either way. I'm going to go ahead and color all of the stems and leaves with Pool Party. I'm using the light Stamp and Blend. Alströmerias go around my area. I've got some in my front yard, and I just love these flowers. They do have quite a bit of pollen, and so I have them away from the house, and I don't bring them inside, but they do make beautiful cut flowers. Coming back through, and I'm going to add just a little of detail, so if it's under or behind, down the middle of here, and it's just a tiny bit, so actually just coloring it in just like that, and maybe I'll actually put the dark on the stems. And they kind of blend on their own. But if you want to come in and do a little extra coloring to blend in, that's okay too. I'm going to color the flowers with the light Highland Heather. And I am using the larger brush tip on this because it's larger areas. And I'm really just coloring the whole flower at this point. Alströmeria come in all kinds of different colors, by the way. But I'm using the Highland Heather, mostly because it goes with this card. Using the small tip to kind of color the bases and give a little detail, again, the petals behind. Toward the base of the flowers. And Alströmerias often have kind of two colors on their petals. And so I wanted to color the bottom, but purple and yellow are opposite on the color wheel, and so can get muddy. When I tried it, I was working on a technique and not really on a finished card, and so I tried it and I loved it. The yellow doesn't really blend, it kind of pushes the color, kind of like the color lifter. So I'm coloring the center, and the yellow comes through just fine. I'm especially coloring these dotted petals. And I love that this is definitely yellow. It didn't get muddy or brown at all. That was kind of a fun discovery. So now I'm going to go ahead and punch this. I wanted to do a card. I wanted to do a card that didn't require any special tools. You could certainly cut this out with a circle punch to match the pattern on the doily. You could cut it out as a square and layer this over top, but I thought that this punch is definitely big enough for the flowers and is a very useful punch to have. And so I think it's worth investing in this punch. So I'm going to go ahead and put this here. Pretty quick and easy card. Here is the web address for this project, where you'll find the free directions and links for the products I used. You can click individual products or the Add All to the cart. You will be able to remove products you don't need or add more products. I have lots of resources on my website. Most of them are free. It's easy to miss some of those resources or to get lost exploring. Let me take you on a quick tour. Just under the banner image are 6 links. Under Shop, you'll find links to the products from Bev, shopping strategies, my frequent shopping points, and a sampling from the clearance rack. Under Inspiration, you can link to scroll all of my projects since 2011. The products may be retired, but you may be inspired by a layout, color combination, or a technique. I have the basics, where I've written about stamps, ink and paper, cutting, adhesives, and my favorite tools. You'll find a link to techie tips and an easy link back to my latest post. Click on Getting Organized, and you'll find some of my resources for stamp case slips, product labels, large labels for designer series paper, and more. Case inserts for dies, embellishments, and anything I think might fit in a stamp case, including ink refills. You'll also find color tools and charts, a practically free stamp pad storage solution, tabs and a quick reference for the annual catalog, and plans for toolkits. I have a video of my craft wall and more. Click on Evernote Current Products and you can learn how to share my notebook. This notebook has a note for every current product from Stampin' Up! It allows you to search by color, image, product type, word, phrase, or event, and more. I include French, German, and Dutch names and numbers when available, and the prices for all the markets. Evernote synchronizes on your phone, tablet, and or your desktop or laptop computer, so you can look through the Stampin' Up! Catalog from anywhere, anytime. You can copy my notes for the products you own so you can find just what you're looking for. When products retire, I move them to the Retired Products Notebook, which I also share, and I host a notebook for Paper Pumpkin. Click on Sip Together and then Let's Stamp to come stamp with me or join my Sip Together team. There's also a link to learn a bit about me. The sitemap will help you navigate all these links from one page. And there are quick links along the side of my page. Shop Now takes you to my online store at Stampin' Up! You'll see the current host code. It would be a great help to me if you use that if you are ordering less than $150. You can click on the current catalogs to page through them online. And I've got a link to a color lab to get color combinations. And then there are my links to my 5 most recent posts. Thank you very much for stopping by and hope to see you soon.